Welcome back, everybody, to Hoops HD. It is our
Woohoo!
ongoing 2025-2026 season preview podcast. Here we go. We got AI. We got everything. Uh, I'm your host, Chad Sherwood. We got Matt Zukowski, John Salika with me up top here, David Griggs and John Teitel down in the bottom row there. And this is our one of our favorite nights. It is quarters night at Hoops HD, Griggs.
Yep.
We just figured that out. It is quarters night. We are
Quadcast.
Well, what I think we should do is do the American and the A10 in one podcast, and then we'll do the Mountain West and West Coast in another one, and then we'll have halves, and it'll be better.
We are doing 4 podcasts tonight. This is our American Conference preview. If you are looking for the A10, look down there. You
It's
look for the
yeah,
Mountain West, down there. Look for the
mm,
West Coast, way
way
down there.
way down there. Yeah, it's
Uh,
down there.
if you prefer, hit play on all 4 of them at the same time. If you do it backwards, you actually get a recipe for chocolate chip cookies. So
Yeah.
this is our American Conference preview. No longer the American Athletic Conference. They dumped the word athletic. It's just the American Conference, like anybody cares. Uh,
Right.
but where the heck are we going to start here? Well, Griggs, let me start with you. Who is the best team in the American this season? Let's just get right
I,
into it.
I still think it's Memphis, and there's reasons to think it's not Memphis. Some of you probably think it isn't Memphis. Memphis, good last year. They're tasked with replacing their entire starting lineup. But, when you look at a lot of when you look at who they're bringing in 4 or 5 players that were all double figures, av who all average double figures. I'll learn to talk one of these days at the Division I level last year. Abdul Hakim, Quande Barry, Doug McDaniel from K-State coming in, Sincere Parker, a really good McNeese State. And I just think that they've reloaded. And while you do question sometimes the bench coaching and can Memphis's pieces fit together to be productive, or are they going to get in each other's way? More often than not, I think that they've shown that they can play together and that they can win in the sort of plug and play transfer heavy era. So while they lost a lot, they brought in a lot.
Matt, do you agree with him? Do you think this Memphis team is going to be right back up there again?
No, I do not like this Memphis team at all. I think
Whoa.
Doug
Ooh.
McDaniel is a coach killer, and that puts it. He got Juwan Howard fired at Michigan. He dang near got Jerome Tang, I think, fired at Kansas State, and I think he might get Penny fired here in Memphis. So, I'm not a fan. I'm going a little bit of a limb.
That's quite a superpower that guy's got.
Yeah, I'm going. I think a little bit of a limb here. I'm going with Tulane.
To win the conference.
Yes.
All right, well, they were
Yeah.
further down my
Wow.
notes here, but let's skip right to Tulane.
I love
Matt,
Tulane's team. I hope you're right. I've been a
I love
fan
their
of
head coach,
Yeah,
but go ahead.
Yeah,
yeah.
that's what I said. I like their head coach. You got the preseason player of the year, Rowan Brumbaugh. I think their next dip into Georgetown transfer, Curtis Williams. I think that's going to be successful. And then Scotty Milton's a player I've kind of liked ever since he's been in college. And now I think going from Shaheen Holloway's system that didn't fit him that well to I think he'll fit in nicely in Rod Hunter's up-tempo system. I think those 3 guys are going to be the core of a team that's good enough to win the number 8 league.
Uh,
That would be a great story. You may not. I think you guys know this. Tulane did undergo a tragedy over the summer. One of their players drowned in an accident, and you wonder what effect that's had. Well, obviously, it's not been a good effect, but you kind of wonder if that's going to carry into the season or not. Well, whether it does or doesn't, you just really feel for that community, and you hope that you just feel for them, and you do sort of naturally pull for them.
yeah, I guess Tytel, my problem with Tulane is I don't know if they're going to be good enough defensively. I do like the talent there, but that's my question on them. Would you agree with
I
that? Or
just I just love that Matt's recipe for success is getting people who played at Georgetown. Like he's right.
Yeah.
Like Brumbaugh's great, but like I wouldn't base your whole roster on that.
well, Tytel, are you with Memphis? Are you with Tulane, or would you go somewhere else in this league as your best team?
I think this is Memphis's conference to lose, although their schedule is ridiculous. If you want to throw that up later, I wanted to talk about North Texas, who I think is a serious chance of competing. The good news, they won 27 last year. The bad news, they have to replace their entire roster, including their coach. They brought in Danielle Robinson from Cleveland State. He's got 3 straight 20-win seasons. They also bring in a ton of interesting transfers. Will McClendon from San Jose State, who led his team in 3-pointers and assist to turnover ratio. He did miss the final 10 games of the year due to injury. I think he's good to go now. Dylan Arnett from Cleveland State was All Horizon third team. David Terrell Jr. from UTEP was the CUSA Rookie of the Year. And Jashawn Stevenson from Cleveland State was the Horizon Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, let me throw up both those schedules actually. We'll put that North Texas schedule up here. They've got a couple of challenges, including 3 games of the road early in the season here. And on the right, you'll see the Memphis schedule that you just mentioned, which has a lot more challenges starting right off with San Francisco, Ole Miss, Vegas, Purdue, and potentially Texas Tech there. That's a hell of a start to the schedule for Penny's team. Uh, but Stalika, first of all, what do you think on this North Texas, Memphis, Tulane debate, or would you go somewhere else entirely?
I don't know. I kept looking at science and arts for December 22 for North Texas right here. I mean, Memphis is probably going to be the team by default that you would look to win the American, just because you're probably not going to have anyone else that's going to be above the bubble, so to speak. Now, as Titel pointed out, their schedule is going to be loaded with a bunch of SEC teams, probably within 100 to 200-mile radius from their campus. When you have Ole Miss, Vanderbilt, and Mississippi State on there. They also have a trip to Louisville where they get reunited with one of their old Metro Conference rivals. And even nice, they also have a game at Utah State, which will break up the monotony of American play when they get to February.
Yeah, that's just, that was a very impressive schedule there. I'll give them credit for that. This will probably be one of the top non-conference strength of schedules of the nation, but with that American schedule added in very mediocre overall strength of schedule. um, but Sleek, I know there's another team you want to mention, and I know Rocco Miller's not with us, or maybe he'll be joining us later tonight. But he's very high in the South Florida team this year. Do they have enough to challenge?
This was a team about 2 years ago that was really flying high under Amir Abdur-Rahim. They had just missed the NCAA tournament and ended up going to the NIT. But sadly, Amir Rahim actually died during the offseason last year due to complications from surgery. So there was a dark cloud hanging over the Bulls program. And now they have Brian Hodgson coming over from Arkansas State, who's going to be running the show now. One of the players he brought with him was Isaiah Nelson, who was with the Red Wolves. He also got Joseph Pinion, who came over from Arkansas to help be one of the major impact transfers for the Bulls this year. Now, as far as who else is going to be coming in, Xavier Brown comes in from James Madison, and Deontay Green comes up the road from Florida State. In South Florida, they'll have a few notable games themselves on their own schedule. They're going to be part of the battle for Atlantis Field on the same side of the bracket as VCU, Vanderbilt, and Western Kentucky. And they also have road games at Oklahoma State and Alabama. And another one of my favorite non-conference opponents, Georgia College and State, is going to be on their schedule in late December.
Georgia College and State. It's 2 schools in one then, huh? but another team we haven't mentioned, Matt, Andy Kennedy's squad there at UAB. I kind of like the team this year. I think they might be up there in the kind of almost always are, but
I think, yeah,
no.
the 2 keys for them, they have a couple of kids who are highly rated recruits, haven't done a ton of their college careers, they're well-traveled, but yeah, Chad Swestory and Kyron Lindsey, they were high major talents at one point, both top 100 type recruits. Can they play like they're acclaiming that in the college years, which they really haven't yet? If they do, UAB might be toward the top of the league. If not, they might be a couple of steps back from the teams we've mentioned.
Okay, fair enough.
Their roster fascinates me because they've got those kids that they mentioned. They also turned and got some guys that were standout JUCO players, and Andy Kennedy's had kind of some success doing that. Like UAB, I mean, obviously you don't talk of them in the same breath as Memphis or VCU or Gonzaga or some of the teams that we're going to be talking about tonight, but they've won 20 or more games every year since Andy Kennedy's been there. They've been pretty good. They've made runs at the bubble. They've been in the NCAA tournament. As a program, should they be getting more respect?
You don't
Anyway,
think they're
maybe
you don't
or
think they
not.
get any
Oh
respect?
yeah,
I think that they get a little respect. I mean, American level
yeah,
respect, but
yeah.
uh, uh, Titel, how about the Temple Owls? I mean, we're going on about like a decade now. It feels like since Temple was Temple. Maybe it hasn't been quite that long, but
It's been about that long.
No, this is not your father's Owl team in terms of you think of them with John Chaney and the defense and everything. They set a school record last year with almost 79 points per game on offense. So unrecognizable from my Philly era experience with basketball. They do bring in a bunch of transfers. They get the 2025 SWAC tourney MVP in CJ Hines from Alabama State, as well as AJ Smith from Charleston, Messiah Gilliard from Manhattan, and Darian Ford from Arkansas State, a pretty solid three-point shooter as well.
yeah. Stalika, Wichita State, another team that has was once always up there and just kind of almost forgotten about here in the American lately.
They've probably got to be wondering if they'd be better off back in the Missouri Valley at this point. You know, there's going to come a day where Memphis finally gets a life raft out of this conference, and then the conference isn't going to be much different than what they were facing as far as the Missouri Valley. And here, they really don't have any other rivals outside of Tulsa that's going to be nearby. But I'm not seeing it for the Shockers this year.
Not either.
I think they've got some good outside shooting, which, and if you get hot enough at a 3-point in this game, you could pull off an upset. But I agree with you. I don't think they're going to make any serious noise this year. Uh,
And don't even get me started on Temple, who's been in the news for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah, well, we didn't even go there. Matt, Florida Atlantic, not just a few years removed from a Final Four, but it's not the Dusty May Owls anymore there either.
No, and we see even guys like Trey Cale transferred out, and that's some of the remnants of what you had with Dusty May are gone now, and it might get back going, but I don't think it's this year for that. I think there's a clear top. Basically, we've discussed the top 4 or 5 contenders. They're not in, and I think they're a couple of steps away from that.
Yeah, I mean, Griggs. I was just going to briefly mention the rest of the teams, but I know you've got about 20 or 30 minutes you want to do in East Carolina, so I'll give you the floor for now.
Yeah, East Carolina, I mean, I'm going to need about 25 minutes here. They seem to be slowly trending up very, very slowly. They actually had a winning record in conference play last year, which doesn't happen too often. Jordan Riley's a pretty good guard. He returns there, but I just don't think they're bringing back much else. He can't do it himself. I think this is a team that, while they don't have a rich history, you almost wonder why they haven't been better. And while 10-8 is a nice improvement, I don't think they build on that. Sorry, Pirates.
Yeah, I think Riley will be fun to watch, kind of like with Charlotte. I mean, Mingo, he's going to be a fun player to watch.
Yeah.
But there's not enough there on their roster either. If you agree with me, Matt, if you agree with me on that, we're just not talking about teams that have nearly enough to compete even at this level of conference.
Yeah, that's one of those. I would say it's clear at this level, but like we've talked, I think Tulane, USF, North Texas, Memphis, UAB, all might be top 100 teams, but after that, that's where it looks like the Sun Belt after that, basically.
Yeah, Titel, Charlotte, Rice, UTSA, Tulsa, anything worth discussing out of any of those 4 teams?
You're pushing it, Chad.
We want to mention everybody on the show. Give them all 2 seconds.
Tulsa, a bunch of transfers. Miles Barnstable catches my eye from St. Thomas. He wasn't just an all-summit player. He was all-summit first team with the Tommies. So to get somebody that good from that kind of program was impressive to me.
I don't know if Eric Conkle might be on the hot seat there at Tulsa after this season, though. I just thought he'd have a little more success there, but really hasn't.
I'm kind of amazed he left St. Thomas, considering this is really – we'll get to this tomorrow, but this could be the year St. Thomas shines out of the Summit.
Well, yeah, we'll get to that tomorrow. I am a little Tulsa. If you recall, they had a very strong program. I would have argued that the coaches that came through there, and there was a stretch where I would have said that they were a top 25 caliber program nationally, and the same with Temple. What has happened to where, as an institution, it's like they just don't care about basketball anymore? What the hell?
I'm not hearing an answer. I'll tell you what I want to do here real quick is run through each of you tell me who, we've kind of answered this already, but just go for us, who you think will win the regular season title. Do you think there's going to be a chance for a second bid? And if so, who? or a third bid or fourth bid, or if you want to tell me it's a 9-bid league, go for it. And any other final thoughts about the American? Matt, let me start with you.
So yeah, I went on the limb. I'm picking Tulane to win it. I actually think both Tulane and USF make the tournament, and that they're both going to have to probably go about 26, 27 wins to do it. But I think they find a way to do that to get in. And I'll say Brumbaugh's Player of the Year. He both preseason and postseason.
Nice. All right, Stalika.
I think this is the kind of conference that Joby had envisioned for the Mountain West. I mean, I only see one bid coming out of the American this year. South Florida, you're probably a year away under Hodgson, but I'm going to go ahead and take Memphis as my champion. But as far as a final thought right here, how did they not go after UMass as a potential 14th team? I mean, if you want to talk about a program that's going nowhere, they would have been perfect for this motley crew here.
Titel.
I think that Memphis is going to win it. I would say that if they don't, I would go with North Texas, but I think that Memphis could still get in. It would require a lot of things to go right, namely, they would need to end up with like a top 25 strength of schedule, which they could, at least non-conference wise. And then they would need to win a lot of those games. Like, I don't think 20 wins with that schedule make it. 25 might. And then if they just choke in the conference tourney game or something, I think they'll have an argument. As far as a fun fact, if you look at UAB, who we talked about a little bit earlier with Coach Kennedy, I read something that I still kind of don't believe. And so if any of you can confirm or deny, that'd be great. But I believe every D1 team is allowed to have up to 15 scholarship players, but Coach Kennedy chooses to only go with 12. Part of me thinks that it's like, oh, I don't want to like waste the other 3 scholarships on guys who will never play. But I was a little stunned to hear that, as you can tell from the sound of my voice, because like you're giving up 3 scholarships, I think.
That's a different one. Can't answer that one for you. But I'll tell you, personally, I think it's a single bid league. I even think even I actually kind of going to go with South Florida as your regular season champion. I think if they get
Really?
upset in the conference tournament, it's still a single bid league. Um, I think Memphis and UAB, Tulane are all going to be right there as well. But at the end of the day, I'm going one bid. I think South Florida takes it. Griggs, how about you?
I said Memphis at the start of the show. I'm staying with them, but I think Memphis is inside the bubble. We looked at their schedule. It's certainly strong enough out of conference, and if they don't even need to win, I kind of am going to disagree with Titel a little bit. I think if they don't need to win all of them, but if they can win a few of them and blow through the league, I think that's enough to put them on inside the bubble and in on the first ballot. Could they get a second team with South Florida, Tulane, UAB? We always talked about them having potential. Maybe if they all are really, really strong out of conference, I don't know if they have the chance at showcase wins, but if they can all come in with bloated records, maybe among the group of them, if someone can run away from the group, they could get a second team in. But my guess is that they have one team inside the bubble, a few others that are in IT range, and they only get 2 in if someone other than Memphis wins the conference tournament.
A real quick note on winning the conference tournament. The American did redo its conference tournament format. They're going with a ladder that will give it bye all the way to the semifinals for the top 2 seeds. So it will be easier for whoever gets those top 2 seeds to win the conference tournament, and a lot harder to see a surprise team win it. But on that note, that's it for the American Conference. If you're looking for the A10 Mountain West or West Coast, check out down there. But on behalf of Matt Zakowski, John Salika, John Titel, and David Griggs, I'm Chad Sherwood. Thanks for joining us. And if you click play right down there on the A10, we'll be back with you in just a few seconds.